transitioning from one season to the other, whether it be finishing up the end of the fall season and then transitioning into the spring, and then there's that free agency, quote unquote, which is the portal, and being able to acquire that type of talent at that particular time, reminds you of the free agency in the NFL. And so it's been pretty smooth from a transition standpoint for me, because it's familiar territory. Yeah.
With Devin Tomkins, I don't want to say underrated, but there's bigger names that people put on the line. What have you seen from him this spring? He seems like guys could have another big breakout.
That's exactly right. I'm expecting a skyrocket type of year from this guy. He's everything that I've hoped that he'd become. He's very humble. He works his tail off. He has the versatility to play everywhere across the board. His football IQ is phenomenal. It's only improved, and he has a unique skill set. And I think he's going to be one of the guys that, when NFL teams start breaking his film down at the end of the year, they're going to be very pleased and excited about it. He's going to skyrocket up everybody's, draft boards. Because I do think he has that type of talent to possibly be one of those guys that everybody will be calling for after the season. His ceiling is through the roof. I love coaching him. He loves, being coached hard, and all of the great players want to be coached hard. And he's one of those guys. He is who I thought he would be, and I'm super excited about him and the leadership role that he's taking this year with the guys. Everyone respects him. He just does things the right way, and I'm super proud of him. So I love coaching him.
Devin told us he took you guys to do escape rooms.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
Well, I didn't go, unfortunately, that day, but Coach Noor and Coach Jones did go. But I've been to escape rooms, and I thought that was a pretty cool idea. But again, that's part of him taking that leadership role, getting guys together and understanding how important it is to be able to have fun with your teammates, and doesn't have to be football. But having that ability to bond and figure things out together, that's what you do on the football field. And that's why a place like the escape room is pretty unique in our line of duty, because it brings us together. It makes you have to work together. And so it just creates that team bonding that we've been really hitting on this offseason.
How important will Pepe be for this line?
Kobe's going to be huge. Kobe's always been huge. He was huge for us last year. He's only gotten better. I think he had a phenomenal spring in terms of what he's been able to do. He takes care of his body. He prepares like a pro. But again, his football IQ has only shot up the charts, and I'm very pleased with the way that he prepares and the way that he goes about his business. I'm challenging him to be more of a vocal leader rather than a guy that just leads by example. Just want to get a little bit more out of him from a leadership standpoint, but because it's not natural for him to be able to talk, and so just challenge him to step into an area of being uncomfortable, and then watch how it helps him grow even more as a player. But when you talk about a guy that comes to work every day, that doesn't complain, that's extremely important to our defense from a communication standpoint on the field, and just you feel comfortable when Kobe's on the field, and so I love what he brings to the room, and excited for his future as well.
Speaking of growth as a leader, he had a noticeable off-season weight gain. Was that something you came to? It's like we need to get, or he just attacked that?
No, I think he just attacked it that way. I just want to make sure that he doesn't get too heavy. But he didn't. He's just naturally a big dude, and so there's an ideal weight that we want to keep him at, so that he can still maximize who he is and be the player that he wants to be, rather than just being a one-trick pony type of guy. But Kobe has position flexibility because of his brain power, so he's able to play multiple positions. He can line guys up, and so he can get you through tough downs when you if anything happens and you need him to play other places. So.
Everyone obviously wants to talk about Jahkeem Stewart, but what have you seen from the other two freshmen, Floyd and Cash?
Oh my God! I'm just telling you, like, people are going to be surprised at what Floyd and Cash brings to the table. Floyd, his ability to work edges of guys, he's physical, he's heavy-handed, he's got probably some of the best feet that we've ever seen. Really, I think he has elite footwork. He's a guy that still growing from an above the neck standpoint. The football IQ part, just understanding the game, transitioning from high school to NFL style of defense and an NFL style of coaching, to where he has to see things before it happens. He has to understand what his teammates are doing around him. He can anticipate blocking schemes, which will allow him to play faster. And we want to teach all of our guys to be able to understand the game that way. And as much as they are able to grow in that area, you only see those guys improve and play faster. And you're going to see a phenomenal player in Floyd in years to come. But I'm very excited about him. Cash Jacobson is a guy that's, has some skill set to him. He can play with his length when he plays with his length. We still got to clean up some of the techniques, just transitioning from Jenks High School to here at USC. But I love where Cash is. I love the way he finished spring ball. Just as a young guy, understanding every day you have to be willing to put in that level of work that we're looking for and that this group is expecting from each and every one of the guys. And so just understanding what's required and demand from a practice habit standpoint, as well. Cash is continuing to grow. But you talk about a guy that's got a promising future. We're extremely excited about these freshmen. And so we believe we hit on the right guys. And so we're excited about these guys.
There's been a lot of talk about Jahkeem Stewart lining up multiple spots on defense. Just, where do you feel like he's most comfortable right now?
He's actually been comfortable all the way across the board. I think the biggest deal for him, like I was telling you, is just understanding the game. And that's what all of the freshmen, you kind of hear me saying the same thing about those guys, just pre-snap indicators and understanding how I'm going to be blocked before the ball is snapped, which would allow you to play faster. Not trying to do too much, making sure my eyes are on my keys, and I'm not trying to make every play like these guys were accustomed to making in high school. It's not going to be like that. Sometimes doing your job is good enough. You've made the play by doing your job. And so when these guys understand that, and they've grown, you'll see them become, better pros, and these guys are going to be some really good football players because of that.
How do you feel like your culture in that D-line room has grown in year two?
Yeah, the culture has been established, man, and I think I credit all of the guys like the Kobe's, the Devins, the Jadays, the Braylon Shelby's, the Cam Fountains, the Anthony Lucas, all of the returning guys that's been part of the dog walk culture and the mindset that we've created in terms of the way we got to be able to practice, the discipline that we have to be able to play with, our attitude on our day-to-day, the work ethic that's required, having that griminess and that grit about you, being willing to come to work every day, becoming obsessed with greatness and relentless in our approach to be great, and then having that killer instinct about you. When you have that kind of culture that's been established, it makes it easy for guys to walk into. It makes that transition for the new players a bit easier. And that's the things that we've been trying to establish. That was the mindset with the Los Angeles Rams, and it's not going to be any different here. And so we're excited about the group. We're excited about the culture that's been established here, and it's starting to really run itself. And you have guys that understand that embodies everything that we're looking for, but then they go out and work the way that it needs to be, to work the way that they need to work. And it's been on full display. So very, very pleased with how that's taken form.
What did you see from Carlin Jones this spring? Obviously, had a lot of excitement coming in, but then the injury happened and kind of took a back seat.
It's been awesome getting Carlin back on the field because you saw a guy that take tremendous strides throughout the course of spring. When you talk about coming back off the injury, just being available for practice, and then now being able to see the development and the things that we've been able to work on. But he's really, you can kind of put him in the freshman class, if you will, because he had the whole season off last year because of the injury and the surgery. And so now this is all new for him again. But the culture and the mindset, he's been able to adapt that. So he knows what goes into the work ethic and how he has to be able to put that on full display, practice in and practice out. And then you see Carline made tremendous strides towards the end of the spring. So I'm extremely excited about Carline. I think he's going to be a big-time player for us.
We were talking to Danton about Ja and what he's shown, that so much potential but hasn't played a ton. What sense do you have for what you have with him at this point?
You got a big baller click, and then so you're excited about that because you can mold him the right way. When you talk about a guy that has that type of elite size and athleticism to match, I make fun of him all the time. I say Ja's the first big guy of that size, that stature, that I've never been able to call lazy. I mean, you talk about a guy with that kind of work ethic at that size, the ability to run and get out of the stack. We call them stack monsters, and he's probably led us in stack monsters. And so you got a guy that can run like that. We just got to clean up his technique, his hand placement, getting his, his hand speed from the ground to the man. Some of those things that we, are constantly working on and trying to improve in his game, and then also just teaching him the game from an above the neck standpoint. We've been talking to our guys a lot of times about pre-snap indicators and how can we should know how we're going to get blocked prior to the ball being snapped, which would allow us to play faster and never have poor footwork and playing underneath ourselves and things of that nature. And so just working on Ja from that standpoint has been big, but you've seen tremendous improvement in his game. And I'm really excited about what he's going to bring to the table for us.
How did you know